There is a question from one of our students. Please make sure to introduce yourself and then ask your question.
All right, my name is Andrew. I'm in materials engineering. And my question would be, is it often or common at all for the businesses to have their own private AI models that are distinct from the publicly available ones?
It's when it comes to thank you so much for your question, Andrew. And when it comes to developing these use cases or technologies in companies, usually companies use different approach to develop the tools, right? Some of them might develop all these tools from scratch, and I'm talking about mostly digital companies, right? But when it comes to like financial companies or manufacturing companies, usually there is a trade-off between how much of those tools you are going to develop in-house by your own data scientists and how much of that you are going to buy and outsource from other vendors. And the trade-off is mostly between customization versus costs, right? If you buy something from an outsource from another vendors, it's going to be really fast, but it costs you a lot. And if you, but you don't have that much customization. But if you design that by yourself, you can design it as you wish. You can adjust that whenever you want, so you have more customizations. And again, industry by industry is different. Like for example, in wealth and asset management, the industry is highly regulated. So we are banned from using many of these AIs still, especially when it comes to portfolio management, for example, or having some sort of investment using AI. Our companies is really careful about how to use it. But to your point, again, it depends companies by companies, but usually, even if they develop something by themselves, they might use LLM from existing vendors. So they are not going to compete with, for example, OpenAI in terms of developing LLMs. That never happens for a manufacturing company or financial company.
Hello, my name is Enoch. I am a third-year mechanical engineering student, and well, I've been spending the past few months trying to come up with ideas that I could develop into a business. I've been very mindful of my day-to-day issues that I face, hoping that other university students or other people in my position also have the same problems. And I keep coming into the same issue, which I think you mentioned on, analysis paralysis. So I start researching the idea, I start going through research through databases, and I kind of get discouraged at the end thinking, this is not really an idea that I can go through. So I've come to the point where rather than going through analysis paralysis again and again, I'd rather work with another team that's already a startup, gain the knowledge, and kind of see how things go in a business plan, and then try starting my own thing by myself.
So your question is about whether this is okay, or you're in the right direction, or you want general advice with your situation?
Yeah, so I realize I didn't actually ask a question about my problem. But yeah, I'm looking for advice on whether I should join another startup that already exists, or I try push through the analysis paralysis and try actually going through with an idea and just try creating a business plan by myself.
To speak to the kind of analysis paralysis issue, I think there's no real way of knowing before you actually start a startup whether or not it's going to be successful. You know, some investors will tell you like, oh yeah, we have it's really difficult. These are very, very like complex problems. And so figuring out in advance whether or not something is a good idea, really it should just be a kind of quick like sanity check. Like, is there an existing market for this? This is the kind of heuristic that I use usually when evaluating an idea is somebody else already doing it? And far from being like a bad signal, I think that's actually a positive signal because it means that the problem exists to where there are like willing customers for that problem. But beyond that, you know, you can just sit there and ruminate forever and think about, oh, is this going to be the right idea? Is this going to be the right idea? really, and this kind of speaks to your second thought, I think it's the right instinct, maybe not to just like find an existing startup, but to find people that you want to work with, right? Because what we do at the Hatchery is we bet on teams, right? The problem is an important component, but we have the privilege of working with the engineering school. We have a plethora of technical talent. It's really just about them working together and testing one problem, work on it as a group, see, oh, did we get any traction? You know, we talked to some customers, they're not so interested. Let's pivot, let's try something else. So what I would say is really just, you know, find people that you want to work with and that are crazy and want to take a risk. And that's where I would start.
Thank you for your answer.
Anything to add?
No, I can echo what Matt said, but maybe the concept of agility also can help there, especially the concept of MVP, minimum viable product. So the point is that you're right, I've been there as well. Sometimes you get stuck into all these analysis and stuff like that. But that would be great if you can create some sort of quick wins for yourself, some kind of a smaller version of the product. And definitely you can have some time to always improve that and make it better. I guess this kind of looking at the business can be also super helpful.
Thank you for your answer.
All right, there seems to be another question from one of our students, please.
Hi, I'm Valeria. I'm a third-year mechanical student, and I was wondering if, like, there's a lot of like common heuristics you guys might have seen like so many business plans and so many things like that. So I was wondering if there were like any common ones that we as students are not yet aware of.
Yeah, so like I said, investing very, very complex kind of decision-making process. Yeah, I'd say there are about maybe 6. So first, population, just popularity of your problem. So is there like at least $1 billion market? Under that, a lot of the time you're not really a good target for venture investing because venture investing is it's really kind of a law of large numbers game, and so you really need to land these like massive outliers. And if there isn't a big enough market for the thing that you're doing, then investors might pass on that just because the payoff potential isn't really there, and so the risk isn't worth taking on. The second, in that kind of vein, the market growth, 20% is like not necessary. This is again a nice to have, but like when you have a market that's growing really, really fast, like for example, like the AI market right now, you see investors throwing a lot of money at this problem because it's growing so quickly that you can kind of just let the market take you, and you know you don't have to compete against like established incumbents. In AI, of course, you do now, so maybe we've kind of passed that window. But yeah, so these are kind of some of the things that maybe you should be thinking about. I think another good one would be like regulatory pressures. So if a government passes like a new law or regulation that forces businesses to do something, that's a good signal as well. But like I said, like none of these are immediately disqualifying or like immediately like, yes, I'm going to invest. You know, maybe there are things that you can say when you're doing like a pitch competition, but really investing, I mean, it's the whole structure of due diligence that, you know, the investor has to believe that they're going to be able to make money by investing in you. So it's complicated.